named Tater. He's got a podcast show, sipping on a cold one, watch his stories grow. From the city lights to the quiet streets, Tater. Well, there's a guy named Tater. He's got a podcast show, sipping on a cold one, watch his stories grow. From the city lights to the quiet streets, Tater's talking about life with a beer at his feet. He's got the guests, he's got the spark, interviewing folks who've made their mark. Firefighters, cops, yeah, they're all here, talking about the things that they hold dear. It's Tater and a beer, shooting straight from the hip, talking about the real stuff, no need to skip. With a fireman's heart and a cop's point of view, Tater's breaking it down just for you. Tater and a beer, let the stories roll. Pour another round and let's lose control. They talk about the sirens, the highs and the lows, the calls they answer and the battles they chose. Heroes on the front lines in blue and red. Tater's digging deep, yeah, he's breaking the thread. Every week's a new tale, every guest is unique, sharing their truth. They're all kind of freaks, from the dark nights to the bright sunny days. Tater and a beer always find a way. It's Tater and a beer, shooting straight from the hip, talking about the real stuff, no need to skip. With a fireman's heart and a cop's point of view, Tater's breaking it down just for you. Tater and a beer, let the stories roll. Pour another round and let's lose control. They'll laugh, they'll cry, they'll tell you what's real. Tater's got the mic and he's making the deal. Firemen and cops and the folks in between, Tater's got the podcast that you've never seen. It's Tater and a beer, shooting straight from the hip, talking about the real stuff, no need to skip. With a fireman's heart and a cop's point of view, Tater's breaking it down just for you. Tater and a beer, let the stories roll. Pour another round and let's lose control. So grab a cold one and pull up a chair. Tater's got the guests and he's always fair. Tater and a beer, it's the talk of the town. Come for the stories, stay for the sound. Well, there's a guy named Tater. He's got a podcast show, sipping on a cold one, watch his stories grow. From the city lights to the quiet streets, Tater's talking about life with a beer at his feet. He's got the guests, he's got the spark, interviewing folks who've made their mark. Firefighters, cops, yeah, they're all here, talking about the things that they hold dear. It's Tater and a beer, shooting straight from the hip, talking about the real stuff, no need to skip. With a fireman's heart and a cop's point of view, Tater's breaking it down just for you. Tater and a beer, let the stories roll. Pour another round and let's lose about the sirens, the highs and the lows, the calls they answer and the battles they chose. Heroes on the front lines in blue and red. Tater's digging deep, yeah, he's breaking the thread. Every week's a new tale, every guest is unique, sharing their truth. They're all kind of freaks, from the dark nights to the bright sunny days. Tater and a beer always find a way. It's Tater and a beer, shooting straight from the hip, talking about the real stuff, no need to skip. With a fireman's heart and a cop's point of view, Tater's breaking it down just for you. Tater and a beer, let the stories roll. Pour another round and let's lose control. They'll laugh, they'll cry, they'll tell you what's real. Tater's got the mic and he's making the deal. Firemen and cops and the folks in between. Tater's got the podcast that you've never seen. It's Tater and a beer, shooting straight from the hip, talking about the real stuff, no need to skip. With a fireman's heart and a cop's point of view, Tater's breaking it down just for you. Tater and a beer, let the stories roll. Pour another round and let's lose control. So grab a cold one and pull up a chair. Tater's got the guests and he's always fair. Well, there's a guy named Tater. He's got a podcast show. Sipping on a cold one, watch his stories grow. From the city lights to the quiet streets, Tater's talking about life with a beer at his feet. He's got the guests, he's got the spark, interviewing folks who've made their mark. Firefighters, cops, yeah, they're all here, talking about the things that they hold dear. It's Tater and a beer, shooting straight from the hip, talking about the real stuff, no need to skip. With a fireman's heart.
What's up, guys? I'm Tater. Welcome to the very first episode of Tater and a Beer, along with my co-host Boogie. Boogie, how you doing tonight, man? So, our very first episode of Tater and a Beer. Um, let's start this off by introducing ourselves. As you know, I'm Tater. I am the host. I've actually just started doing podcasts, this being my first one. I've been in the fire service, in and out of the fire service for the past 10 or 12 years. Um, I've got a few fire certifications under my belt. I live at home with my wife and 4 kids, which can be a challenge sometimes. Uh, and I work for the local school system here in North Carolina.
You're owning a lot.
Tall ass leprechaun said he can't hear us at all.
Really?
He can't hear John or or Boogie and I.
That's weird. Hold on.
Yeah, you can hear us now. Okay.
Can you hear us?
You said that get host and guest are good. He's just waiting on a mic check from Tater.
All right. Well, while he's doing that, Boogie, I've been in the fire service. Well, no, retired, but I was in the fire service for 8 years. Ended up leaving because my family decided to rebuild, moved to a different city because I was in volunteer fire department, not full time. When I got back, I was told by the chief that I had to get a doctor's note because I had a partial rope fall on my right ankle. So I would have to get that cleared to be able to come back. And unfortunately, no doctor would. So I've been retired and missing it ever since. But they'll always be my brothers.
How about now? Can you hear me a little better?
Hunter said just a hair more.
What about now?
What about now?
Decoy says, yeah, you're good.
Steve said he can hear me.
Hunter says you're good.
Alrighty. Alright,
Nice.
Boogie. So, with this podcast being new, what do you expect to see from it, and where do you see us going?
I expect to be able to put a lot of information out about fire services and interviewing more firefighters and EMTs and law enforcement in there. Anybody that's been part of the public service, like the military and all that stuff. Just love to get more word out how everything goes. Not that they're just people that don't care. They're actually there for their communities, and that because they're in one department doesn't mean they're not in another department. They're all family, no matter what department you come from, what state, what country, and all that stuff. What's up, Nick?
Give recognition to those who normally don't get it like they should.
Yep. And especially to the ones that have fallen and not able to come home, and they sacrifice their lives for their community and all that.
And there are many of them, unfortunately,
Yep.
that don't get to come home to their families at night like they're supposed to. So, yeah, that's what I want to see, and where I hope to go is bring some light to not only public service, fire, EMS, PD, but also the military, like Boogie said, and also our teachers and people that work in the school system. I honestly don't think they get enough recognition for what they do either. So
Yep.
we will kind of be a mix of all of that. Have guests from every walk, as far as public service as well as school systems in here as guests. Get their first-hand experience on what they do and how they do it. All right. Well, we have our guest for tonight. He happens to be the owner of Squad Productions that runs all of this. I think it's what, BB? It's now 8 podcasts?
Yeah, it's either 7 or 8 that we have under our belt now. Viewers are going up. I mean, you got 8 people watching you right now. Something that I decided a while back that I was like, you know what, we've got our own podcast, Squadcast, Delta BB Unfiltered. We created the Aftermath, and I was like, hell, why not open it up to all of the squad and let all of the squad, if you have aspirations to do a podcast, do a podcast. And you reached out and said you wanted to do one, and I was like, let's make it happen, Captain.
And here we sit.
You may
So,
want to go full screen on your Discord.
Yeah, bud. Make it a little cleaner there, bud.
Every first episode,
there we go.
you'll have,
We have little,
every first episode has its own quirks.
yeah. So, BB, as you know, the owner of Squad Productions and the man that puts a lot of these together for us, where would you like to see this show go, and what would you like to see from it?
Well, any show that we create, we hope that, because it's not just me. Now, all that I own is the Discord. I don't own anything. Any show that we create under the brand, as a collaborative group and collaborative effort. I hope that all of you guys are successful. If we're successful together, then we're going to be paid out together when we become monetized and grow. Between all of the shows, there should be a viral moment at some point. I don't know what show's going to give it. I don't know who's going to say it. But one of you go viral at some point. I'm shocked I haven't yet. I say some really fucked up shit.
Yeah,
My bad.
sure is.
My bad. Am I supposed to watch my mouth on this show?
Yeah, this one's a little bit more PGG rated than the rest of them.
My bad. My bad.
It's all good. It's all good.
I'll try to go PG-13.
That'll
I
work.
think I can say. I think I say the F word at least 3 times in PG-13. So.
Yeah, it happens.
What's up,
We
Hammy
all let them
What's
slip.
up, Hammy?
Boogie, you got a question for him? We'll kind of go back and forth.
Yeah, at least a couple. Have you ever been to any fire services or that? Any military or police, EMS, fire, PB?
I was not so lucky to have been able to do so. I have a disability, one that doesn't hold me down, but it holds me back a little bit. I can't see out of my left eye, so that throws me out of a lot of different things. I wish I could have signed up for the military and served in it. Just like I said.
Yeah.
Only having one eye, it automatically takes you out of the running, so it kind of sucks. It takes me out of the running, to volunteer firefighter. It takes me out of the running for LEO. Takes me out of the running for a lot of stuff, but like I said, I don't let it hold me down.
Well, that's good. You shouldn't let nothing hold you back. If you have a dream or something you want to do, go for it. I mean, the only dreams that aren't accomplished are those that aren't sought after.
Well, I work in the machine industry currently. We make medical devices. Not gonna divulge the name of the company, but we make medical devices. So screws, nails, stuff like that. Stuff that could be implanted inside of your body. So we save lives. I'm in a career path that we help people.
There you go. Your job is just as important, if not, well, more important than the people that put them in. I mean, without y'all, they wouldn't have the stuff to save lives. So that's a very important place to be, and a very important career that we need. So Boogie kind of took one of my questions there with that. So I'm going to skip over that one. What was your last shareable experience with a public service member or a public service department? And how do you remember it? Was it a good experience, bad experience?
So, it was actually last summer, or this past summer. I was cutting the grass, and didn't realize I had something in the front yard that slung through the mower. Well, it busted one of my windows on the front of my house, and the front of my house is actually right here. So I pulled the curtain back and glass just fell everywhere. I'm like, what the heck? And we got a bunch of hoodlums in our neighborhood. And I thought maybe one of them bad little kids, one of them baby kids, threw something through my window. And it's a double pane window, so like it went through both panes. So it had to have some force behind it. So I end up calling the police or whatever, get the police out here, and they're taking the report. But them dudes were super personable. I mean, me and Hunter had been drinking. I think Jess might have been drinking a little bit that night. I'm out there probably swaying, talking to these guys at 11 o'clock at night. Super personable guys. They wrote the report. I live in DeSoto County and here in Mississippi, and you come here and most of our guys are like really stand up. If you do something bad, they're gonna catch you. They don't play. But them guys were both super personable guys. Super respectable. Uh, Shoot, I think I could have stood out there. I think I offered them a beer, and they were like, "Man, I wish."
Yeah, a lot of them, y'all from beer on duty, they'll be like, well, catch me when I'm not at work.
Yep.
I mean, I live right across the street from one of the sheriff's officers, so
Yeah, we've got two or three state troopers that stay within probably a 10-mile radius of our house. Okay, I got corrected. We have just one state trooper now that lives in our particular area.
Unfortunately, one passed
We
away.
had two or three at one point, but some things happened and we're down to one.
Yeah. Shame.
All right, Boogie.
Well, I'm gonna probably steal another of your questions here because I didn't think some up because I just woke up maybe an hour ago.
y'all ain't gonna answer some of your own questions.
I'm gonna
ask.
ask a question for Mr. Tater here. What's the biggest fire you ever been to?
The biggest fire I ever been to was a 3-story home on the beach. Well, not on the beach. It was on a canal on the beach. That's the biggest one I've ever been to. It was a 3-story beach house. There were 2 or 3 departments that ended up responding to it. We were, if I remember correctly, and this has been a hot minute ago, but if I remember correctly, we were actually paged out as mutual aid to that. It wasn't actually in our district. It was one that we were asked to come help with. What's the biggest one you've ever been to, Boogie?
So the biggest one I ever been to was a big tannery fire. It's where they take all these animal hides to make them into rugs and all that lovely stuff. Call came out about 10 o'clock at night. We responded. It was a mutual aid call because it wasn't a town over to us. We were halfway there. We almost got in a wreck ourselves because the town of the city wasn't too happy that we were responding faster and they were trying to pull out in front of us. They had to slam on their brakes so they wouldn't T-bone us. Then we got to a road that you could go straight or take a right to get to the same road to get where the factory is. We got down there, almost got T-boned by them again because they were trying to get past us so they could be on scene before us, but they had to stop, almost T-boning us. We got on scene because I was on the ladder truck. This is the truck they said that they wanted. Me and my buddy, we went up into the lovely basket and sat most of the night there. For some reason, the city that was calling, they decided they were gonna have us come down for rehab because we've been up there for about 4 or 5 hours already. It's like, why all we're doing is standing up here and talking. We're not even wearing our air mask because the wind's blowing away from us, so the smoke is not coming towards us at all. So we started walking down. Halfway down, I was halfway down, because by that time we had to put our ear on no matter what. Because it's our department's really, if you're going down a fire, we gotta wear it. Because also the wind was somewhat shifting on us. Halfway, my officer yelled up, "Get our butts back up there." Got up there, told them, well, if we gotta come down now, the whole basket's coming down because I'm now out of air in my tank. They end up sending somebody out, but we didn't go home until about 7 o'clock the next morning, and it was still burning. They wanted to go in, don't know why. Somebody thought it would be a great idea to get a crew to go inside. It wasn't smart. My officer on my truck yelled over the radio saying, "Don't, it's no use," the whole roof was down. The whole roof was already collapsed before we even got there. But you see in the picture in my background, you could see a lot of those colors coming from that fire because all those chemicals. So that was my biggest fire I ever been to, and I actually been on the news because right where they had the broadcasters talking, I was in the back in the bucket while they were talking on TV. So I ended up owning the whole department beer because it's a rule: you get caught on TV at a fire, you owe everybody a beer. And if you were underage, it was an ice cream bar. So that was my biggest one.
Yeah, that's I can imagine that was probably a job there, especially.
Yeah, we have 14 different departments were there.
I think
Are you drinking a beer, Tater?
I am drinking a Tater concoction, yes. But I think the biggest one that I've actually seen was one of our schools here, actually, when I was in, it was actually my 8th grade year, my last year at that school, or the school I went to actually caught fire and burnt down. That's the biggest one I've seen. I ain't actually been there. It's years. I didn't actually go to it or be able to help with it because, you know, I was only 14, 15 at the time, so yeah, that's the biggest one I've ever seen in person was that one, and that was crazy.
What was your smallest fire you ever went to?
A garage, a little like out, so they had their main house, and then in their backyard, I guess the guy had built a garage that he worked on his cars in, and it caught fire. And when it caught fire, he had an old 60s or 70s model fastback Mustang that he had just painted sitting in front of it when it caught fire. And when we got there, they were in the process of trying to roll the car away from the building because the paint on the back of the car was starting to try to bubble from the heat.
Damn.
That one was interesting just because he had oxyacetylene torches and the paint and other explosive chemicals in it.
That reminds me of my first fire I ever went to. It was a mutual aid call to a different city south from where I live. I wasn't certified yet. Technically, I wasn't supposed to go on the call because they have a rule: if you're not certified or at least past part 2 of firefighter training in school, they don't want to. But there was no one else there. The officer decided to give me a chance to learn how stuff is done, so he said, "Get on, you're going." He took the heat from it when the chief saw me, because the chief was driving a water truck. Because there where the fire was no fire hydrant, so they had to truck all the water to us. But it was a garage that worked on vehicles. It wasn't a huge place. He did it on his free time, fixing people's cars. He just got done painting a trailer, and he bumped it and got too close to his wood burner that he had going, because this was just middle of February when it went up, and he didn't notice it until it was too late. It went quick. It was so hot, so much stuff. I got a nice souvenir from it. It was a chain with a lock on it that they pulled out of the fire and says, "Here's your memorial of your first fire," because they do that with every firefighter in our department. Your first fire, you're taking something home, and it's your souvenir.
That's
and the guy insisted I keep it, so.
Well, that's kind of cool. It gives you something to remember. You know, remember your first experience by. So I mean.
Yep. And the funny part is, I didn't know. My dad drove by the fire because he had to get to Milwaukee because my nephew was in Children's at the time. And he was going to pick up my mom, bring her home. So, he didn't know I was there because he thought, because when the fire call went out, I was on my way home, and I ran from halfway to the station till a guy picked me, said, "Hey, get in." Then he remembered that I wasn't certified, but the officer's like, "No, get in." So it was a great experience. So and I actually got to help fight outside, and the guys were telling me how to hold it properly and everything too. So that was a great experience before I actually hit school, because I was still in high school when I joined the fire department. So
Yeah, I had been out of high school for quite a while and already been in the military and got out when I actually went through school and started getting my fire stuff. I had been out of high school for a while. I got a late start. So, BB, what is the biggest fire that you've seen or heard of in your area?
So we actually owned a home, and we had moved out of it. It was a 3-story house, so it had a top level attic, and then it had like 5 or 6 bedrooms, 3 or 4 bathrooms. Huge house. We had moved out of that house. We were out of it for maybe a week, and we were under the suspicion that the neighbor set it on fire because it was a shared driveway. The neighbor didn't like that it was a shared driveway. But I know it took 3 or 4 fire departments to put that fire out, just because of how big that house was. And then shortly after, the neighbor's house caught fire, and their house is about the same size. And then a few years later, they ended up buying the other lot, the lot that our house sat on, and ended up building a little bitty house in between both lots. But I remember that fire went for. I think they worked on it for over a day. Like I remember it smoldered for a long time. It was a big brick house. It smoldered for a very long time.
yeah, it's gonna be common with brick houses. They will make them hotter than anything, so it's gonna smolder and smoke a lot longer than some houses would. But I got another one for you, Tater.
All right.
Is it time to wash your hair?
What made you want to become a firefighter?
So, my father has been in the fire service, EMS, for going on probably 35 years now. And being around it, seeing it pretty much my whole life, I caught interest in it. I caught the bug. Got into it. Got my certifications. Started with the department, and it went from there. I still enjoy it. I don't do it anymore, as far as even I don't do it for paid or volunteer anymore. But I still, even now, get the itch to where going into a good house fire would be at the top of my list some days. I've applied with a couple departments here around close to the house. Haven't really got anything from them. A lot of the departments around here now require you to have at least your EMT basic, because they do run medical calls. So, and that's one thing I don't have is my EMTB. I've pretty much got everything else except that. So.
Yeah.
Medical is probably majority of their calls around your area.
It's a big majority of it is medical. I mean, we do have our, fire here and there, but it's not what it is in some of the bigger cities surrounding us.
Y'all had some wildfires spread your way not too long ago, didn't you?
We actually had wildfires in our county not too long ago. It's been a week or so ago.
Yeah, I was going to say, that was like last week.
Yeah, we actually had wildfires break out in the county. Forestry, I drove, coming home from work, drove by a forestry 18-wheeler that was pulled off on the side of the road, and the dozers off in the woods cutting lines trying to stop it. So yeah, that was interesting. That's something I haven't seen in this area before. But I guess somebody started a fire. It was dry, way too windy for somebody to be burning something. And of course, when it's windy and dry, all it takes is one little ember for the wind to catch and drop in the right place, and you can burn down an entire county in a hurry like that. So.
I mean, the world just keeps getting weirder and weirder. I mean, that hurricane that swept through and completely wiped out that mountainside earlier or late last year, and wiped out really good portion of I-40.
Yep.
And you saying that, BB, I do want to give a shout out to everybody that worked that hurricane, Helene. I want to give a shout out to all the EMS, fire, the road crews, all the volunteers that come in bringing their own equipment, their own helicopters, they're buying generators and coming in and helping all those people. I think they deserve a shout out for sure. Not only the paid firefighters, but also the volunteer firefighters, the police departments, EMS, especially the volunteers that come in bringing helicopters, taking time out of their lives, using their money to pay for fuel and their own private helicopter to fly around and deliver supplies to people that needed it. Those people definitely deserve a shout out for sure.
Yep, they sure do. But awesome.
All right,
but you know what?
Go ahead, Boogie.
Oh, sorry.
Go ahead.
I'll tell you how I became a firefighter. Some people think it's bogus and not, but I don't care because it's true. I was 5 or 6 years old when I saw my first fire truck because my neighbor decided he didn't get his homework done on time. It was due that day, so he decided he's going to pile all his books by the back door and lit it up on fire. That's the first time I ever saw a fire truck, and I wanted to be a firefighter since. When I joined, my mom's like, "No, you're not gonna stick with it." 'Cause she thinks I used to quit a lot of stuff, stop football. It's only one thing I didn't quit in high school. She thought I would do. She thought I'll quit that. I did not. I did everything, but yeah, since I saw my first fire truck, that's when I want to be. I knew I wanted to be it. And I still get that itch. I want to go in and fight those fires and help people out, but sucks when you know you can't. So.
Just grab your water hose and help them out.
Yeah, your little garden hose that ain't going to do nothing for that fire.
Put your thumb over the nozzle so it sprays a little further. Help them out a little bit.
Right.
Water evaporates before it even touches the fire.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yep.
All right, BB. I gave you a little forewarning on this. Gave you, roughly about 24 hours to come up with something. I asked you to find a current event topic that surrounds or directly involves public service department, or any public service branch that can include military or school system for us to talk about.
So, it was a little rough one. A couple of them came to mind. I'd asked you, I was like, a lot of the news, that you hear, a lot of it's negative, and it's really hard to find like positive. So unfortunately, what I was going to bring up is going to be a little negative. Uh, but you can look up the story. Uh, the guy used to be a part of Memphis Police Department, and then he was released from Memphis, or he resigned from Memphis and went to work for South Haven PD, uh, and then resigned from it as well. But he went by the nickname, and you can look him up, Taserface. That was his nickname. I can drop a link if need be. So Hunter and I went to a local bar. We were just hanging out, and this guy was sitting at the bar, and I'm a social butterfly, as all of you know. So I started talking to the guy, and then he noticed that I was scrolling through YouTube. I was checking out one of the videos that we had just done, checking out some of the views, and he was like, "Oh, you're into YouTube?" And I was like, "Yeah." He was like, "Oh, me too." He was like, "I'm actually famous." And I was like, "Okay, well, what's your YouTube?" And he's like, "Oh, no, it's not on my YouTube." I was like, "Okay, well, what YouTube is it?" And he was like, "Oh, check out WMC Action 5. Check out Channel News 3. Check out Fox 13." And I'm like, "Okay." Now, we had been already drinking, so uh, said, "Well, we're gonna I'll look you up tomorrow, but let's get you on the schedule." And he was willing to come on, two drunks in a bottle. And so the next day, Hunter and I went to lunch, and we're sitting there having lunch. And I was like, "Well, let's look this guy up, Hunter." And so we look him up, and it shows up that his nickname was Taserface. And he used it because he liked to use his taser excessively. Uh, it was being sued before it can make it to the Tennessee whatever it is, where they decide if they can be cops. The post commission. Uh, he resigned, and they had so much going on, so many cases against different officers and such, that they ended up dropping his case. So he was still able to be a certified police officer. So then fast forward, he ends up working for South Haven here in Mississippi, and gets in some trouble here in South Haven. I think he entered a wrong address or something. And again, has a commission looking into him and stuff. And uh, I think he's still a certified officer, but he resigned again before they can decertify him. I know he still has an ongoing court case, and he wanted to come on the podcast to tell his story because he says that he's innocent. And now, our judicial system, you are innocent until proven guilty, but I don't know. Uh, I know the guy had kind of shared with us a little bit when we were at the bar or whatever. Part of the reason why he was on administrative leave was because he was stalking his girlfriend, and ended up getting had a restraining order placed on him. I can't remember if I looked up his. See, I like looking up people. Can't remember if I ended up looking up his arrest record and finding out, but I think he had just got out of jail like a few hours before we met him at the bar. So I mean, he was his body cam showed him tasing somebody here. Yeah, that's the only picture. I don't really want to kind of show him too much, but don't want to give him that kind of publicity, and he's already got enough going on. Uh,
Well,
I actually ran into the guy again afterwards. I was taking my son to breakfast, and dude saw me, and he turned around and went the other direction.
so I got a quick question on this. So, did he have a thing in Tennessee that involved 11 officers that were looking at being disclassified and lose the ability to work in Tennessee law enforcement? Because his name comes up in it.
Maybe I'm not entire. I didn't do extensive research on him.
Because I just looked up what you said, taser face, and it's a big thing. And he was questioned by multiple DA and other stuff. In 2019, it talks about his tasers and all that stuff too. It has a little video, but I don't know if you guys want to watch it. It's from Fox 13, Memphis News. So, but yeah, 11 officers, including he was one of the 7 people that were questioned by the DA and all that.
So the first time he had tased a juvenile in the back as the juvenile was walking away, and then the other one was he was called to help a mentally distressed person and tased that person as well, which I'm assuming was the picture that I showed. It is the picture that I showed. That man was uh, mentally handicapped, and he tased that man as well.
The hell is
Yeah,
what is wrong with him?
and that was the night that he earned his nickname. It seems like the guy might have some anger issues.
So that's not the way to handle it. Yep.
So right now
He
he has a civil rights lawsuit against here in Mississippi, uh, for excessive force.
he's well, if he is found guilty on everything, I think he needs to be stripped of his powers to be an officer because
The
he
only
seems like
reason
he takes everything a brute too
the only
much.
reason Tennessee didn't do it was because it was years like it it was years after they were like it's kind of unfair to strip him of it. Now it's been years. It's going to be an unfair trial because it's been so long. Uh, and so they didn't strip it. They didn't decertify him.
So yeah,
And
but it's
that's
been
kind of
years.
where the system fails right there.
Yeah, because you're like, well, it's not fair for him, but it's not fair for his victims at all. Because what justice do they get? Oh, he can still be an officer because it's been years. So they're like, oh, great. There's a chance I could run into him in a different state and he'd be an officer and do the same thing. So I'll be right back real quick.
See, if you don't want to talk about it, like now your lawyer may be telling you not to talk about it. But if you just don't want to comment, to me that's a sign of guilt. Like if you were truly innocent, you'd be willing to talk about it.
if you're innocent, you're going to be more than, welcome to try to talk about it and try to prove that you're not innocent. So, I don't know. Decoy said, I would not give that sack any PR as it is not good PR for any LEO or any first responder. You're right, Decoy. It's unfortunate.
The more PR he gets, the more people know about him, right?
Right, and like a drill sergeant of mine in the military said, it only takes one person to mess everything up for everybody else or to make everybody else look bad. And unfortunately, especially with law enforcement, right now, a couple bad seeds have put a bad taste in everybody's mouth for not just them, but all of them. And
But
and there's a lot more good ones than bad ones.
Oh yeah. Most definitely.
The good ones definitely outnumber the bad ones.
Most definitely.
But eventually, we're good or bad. We're gonna have to talk about it and that too, because it's part not just Leo. There's bad firefighters. There's bad EMS people. It's part of having these bad apples, and hopefully we can find these bad apples and try to get rid of them. But fortunately, that's gonna be there.
There's another story as well, and I was caught between the two, but the other story, is huge. The guy's got so much going on in his is still an ongoing case with the Mississippi Highway Patrol. This dude's got his own Facebook and everything about this corrupt cop. It's bad. Body cam footage, everything.
Yeah. But fortunately, we got them out there.
If you want to hear about it, Tater, you'll end up going down the rabbit hole on that one. This guy's got people all over the country that join his Facebook, follow his story about this Mississippi Highway Patrol guy.
Yeah, let's not go down. Yeah, I don't know that we're gonna go down that rabbit hole just yet. And maybe a few more episodes in, we might go down that rabbit hole.
Right.
I'll tell you about it afterwards and let you look it up. Invite you to the Facebook and stuff.
Yeah, we're not gonna go that.
Massive.
We're not gonna go deep like that right now.
Yeah. So, Mr. Tater, did you ever have a bad experience with an officer?
Fortunately, I've never had what you would call a bad experience with an officer. I've had some that I felt were being buttholes, to pick a good word. But then again, when you're getting pulled over and getting a ticket, you're not exactly happy. So, But I've never actually had a bad experience with one.
All right.
How about you? Have you ever had a bad experience with law enforcement?
It's like, man, you were going 80 miles an hour. Well, dude, you had to be going 100 miles an hour to catch up to me.
All right.
We can flip that. We can flip that script on you real quick.
Yeah, but yes, fortunately I had only one, and I'll tell what all happened. So the day before was a Sunday. My sister's car broke down, picked her up. I had a friend with me. We all said we were going to go bowling, so she wanted to get her bowling ball. So we stopped at home, and I got sick of waiting. When I was young, I was very impatient, so I honked my horn a couple times. The neighbor's youngest started yelling something out of the window, and where we were parked, me and my friend were listening to music. Couldn't hardly hear half the words he was saying, so we started yelling back and this and that. And somewhere he and his one friend said that there was a baby in the house sleeping, and that, well, we didn't hear that because we had music on. Well, following the next day, I was getting ready to go to morning drills at the fire department, and I had an officer pull in the driveway on his motorcycle. He goes, all right, you got two options. you can meet me down at the station so we can talk about this, or I can get an officer come pick you up and take you in cuffs. I'm like, for what? Well, the neighbors called yesterday, filed a complaint saying that you were harassing them, that they told you multiple times they had a baby sleeping, and that you were yelling and all that profanities at them. I didn't admit I was yelling profanities, but I told them I did not hear no baby was sleeping because I was parked by our garage and their house is not close at all. So, and we were having music playing and that. So I told him he could call my friend that was with me and talk to him about it. He didn't want to hear. He says, "Nope, I got enough evidence. So your choices right now: come with me or have an officer pick you up, go in cuffs." I'm like, "Well, then that's what you're going to do because I'm not driving down there." No, I did nothing wrong, not one bit. His parents then suddenly pulled up, and he goes, "Well, you want him arrested or not? Because if you don't, I'll drop all the charges, and that'll be it." The parents decided to drop it, but I was fuming, so I went to the station, told my chief that, and he's like, "Oh, that wasn't right, and you did the right move saying having our officer come pick you up." 3 weeks later, I was in school. I ran into the district attorney here in this county, told him the story. Not did that cop get in trouble with the state because he didn't properly investigate it. The my neighbor's boy and his girlfriend got for filing a false police report because they didn't tell the truth on any of it. Their story kept changing with the district attorney. My story and my buddy's story were always lining up at the same time, so it turned out they ended up getting some jail time out of it because they decided to call and give a false police report. And the district attorney looked where my car was parked. He's like, "Yeah, if you're playing music and they were yelling from that window, there's no way you're going to hear them." So, but my mom was not happy. So, but yeah, that's my only bad. Every other time I dealt with officers, I didn't have an issue. So
you
and I only had that was the only main issue I ran. I only got pulled over once, which was my stupidity. I was 18. I was trying to get to work, and I didn't stop for a stop sign.
So you bring up, a bad experience. So let's flip that a little bit. Have you ever had a funny or a good experience or even a funny experience with law enforcement? I have one, but I'll save mine for last. But
Yes. I went to the gas station one night. I was on my way home from Fond du Lac, where my sister lived. I said I stopped at the gas station. My vehicle has fog lights and regular lights. I can turn my regular headlights off and keep the fog lights on. Decided to do that. I don't know why. So I just turned my headlights off, left the fog lights on, got back in my car, and took off without turning my headlights back on. Saw a cop coming my direction. I looked in my mirror. He whipped around, turned his lights on. And I looked on the switch. I'm like, shit. I'm getting pulled over because I forgot my lights. I turned the corner because I was already by the corner where I needed to turn. Then I pulled over right away and turned my headlights on. As soon as he got out of his car, he got to the window. He goes, "I see you know why I'm pulling you over." I go, "Yep, because I forgot to turn my headlights on." He goes, "Well, just let me check your license and make sure everything's good, and I'll just let you go, man." So after he checked my information, we just started shooting the shit. A female officer that gave me the ticket for going through the stoplight stopped by and goes, give him a ticket for it. Give him a ticket," and started yelling at him to give me a ticket. And he goes, "It's my traffic stop. I ain't going to give him a traffic ticket." He had his lights on before I even finally got behind him to pull him over. So he knew he was wrong. He didn't lie or nothing, and I don't see the point. So they were arguing, and he apologized for her actions. I said, "Well, she's a female officer, and that's when I learned she will, no matter what, if you're a male, would always get a ticket no matter what. But if you're a female, she would not ticket." So that was pretty interesting. But another funny story with her when she pulled me over, because this was at night too, well, early in the morning. But It was still dark out. She was following me for 4 blocks with no lights on, no headlights or nothing. I could have fought it, and I most likely would have won, the officer said, because she likes to do that, but you're not allowed to follow somebody with your headlights in that off if it's at night. Because I didn't know she was behind me until she turned her lights on. So, but me, I took fault because I did not stop at the stop sign, so I took fault. So I paid the fine. I'm like, I fucked up. I'm gonna pay it no matter what. I'm not gonna fight it. She could have got me for speeding because I was speeding a little bit and not wearing my seatbelt, but she said, no, I'll let you off on those and you get a ticket for not stopping for the stop sign.
Yeah. What's up, Jess? Alright, BB, I realized that as soon as I flopped the question and asked my question that, we totally skipped over you on that last question. So, what's your bad experience and what's your good experience?
Oh, this is gonna be fun.
Bad experience, I guess. I'll go with it first.
And remember, your wife is watching, so don't tell on yourself.
I was in high school. Or no, I graduated high school. I was driving. Or actually, okay. I was a senior in high school. I was picking up Hunter, and my car, just for some reason, was a cop magnet. Don't know why. I do know why, but it was a cop magnet. Anytime I'd see cops coming up, windows were going down, and I was going ahead and pulling off to the side before they even flipped on the lights, because I knew I'd watch them flip. So this one's kind of like a bad experience, but funny at the same time. We get pulled over. We ended up getting pulled out of the car. They asked if they could search the car. Said, yeah, sure. I mean, I ain't got nothing to hide. You can search it. And I think it was like a few days before we had went to a Mexican restaurant, so I had Mexican chips in the back seat, and they had spilled and like crunched all over the place. They're searching the car, and they're like, cops searching it, and I look over and I see the chips. I'm like, man, don't step on those. We were gonna eat those. Like, what are you doing, guys? Well, they noticed a beer can off to the side, and they were playing good cop, bad cop. There's one it was 2 of them. One of them was being a hard ass, and the other one, he was cool. Notices a beer can off to the side. And they're like, "This is yours?" Y'all talking to Hunter. "This yours? Did you drop this out here? Did you litter? Y'all drinking and driving?" Hunter's like, "No, that was there already or whatever." He ends up trying to get me for like window tint or whatever. Didn't end up amounting to anything. He ended up not writing the ticket or whatever. So that was kind of like bad experience. Good experience. My, my little cousin was getting married, and we had his bachelor party the night before. Got hammered. So I was hungover. Jess was pregnant, and the wedding was like 2 hours away. So I'm ready to get home, and I'm speeding down I-40, trying to get home as quick as possible. And I pass by this state trooper, and I'm like, ah, crap. And I go off into the right lane, start going with the flow of traffic, and he blue lights and pulls off to the right. He pulls us over, and he comes up and he's like, "You know why I pulled you over?" "Yep, I was speeding." He was like, "At least you know." It's like, "Look, man, I know you probably don't want to hear no excuses or whatever." I was like, "I'm tired. Just got done with the wedding. Uh, my wife's pregnant." It's like, you know how women are when they're pregnant and she's hormonal. I'm just ready to get this over with. So giving my license and stuff, and he goes back to his car, and he comes back and he's like, "Look," he's like, "I'm just gonna be real with you. I only cut people a break 1 time a month, and I haven't cut anyone a break this month." He was like, because she's pregnant and you're ready to get home. Keep this thing under 75. You get your butt on back to Mississippi. And ended up letting us go. I mean, we were right at the Tennessee state line. I could see the finish line. The wedding was in Arkansas, so we had to pass through Memphis to get back into Mississippi, and it was like, I was almost there. But yeah, he was like, I only give a break one time or whatever. Cop ended up standing there and shooting the crap with us for a little while. We had asked him, how long you've been doing the job and stuff. That highway patrol is kind of dangerous, especially on I-40, and he had actually told us that about a year prior he had got sideswiped and was pretty critical, and said that he was lucky to survive it, but he wanted to continue to be a state trooper, and super personable guy as well. It's always a good experience when you don't get a ticket.
Yeah. Anytime they let you go.
Well, hold on. All right. No, I just noticed something. If you're watching the stream, if you look at what Tater and a beer under Tater there,
it's backwards, ain't it?
Yep.
Why is it backwards?
I don't know. Even your little symbol's backwards.
Yeah, how is it? What in the world?
You need to flip it. It needs to be backwards on your side for it to be right on everyone else.
Yeah, and I don't know. Okay, I don't know
There's
how that happened, but whatever.
There's a setting for you to flip your camera.
You need to go in a mirror.
I just noticed that.
Hold on, I got somebody
I
to fix it.
So, all right. So while he's getting that fixed, I got another good experience.
Can you fix it?
So a couple of guys on the apartment we sided, we got done with the call, and we said we'll go out drinking. We get to the bar. We didn't even go home. We didn't wash up. It was already 11 o'clock at night, and we were there for 7 hours. We didn't want to. We just want to get some drinks in, eat some food real quick. We get to the bar. First, the bartender goes, "Nope, you gotta leave and shower up. You can't be in here," because we were smelling bad. But the owner gave us permission anytime we get done with the call and we were hungry, no matter what. Didn't matter how we smelled, we could always come in and we'll get a seat right away. He didn't want to. Well, we were like, well, we're not leaving because we were told by the owners we could come in and it didn't matter. A lot of people around there were getting mad at the bartender because he would not do it. One of them ended up calling the owner and we got there. We got done.
Didn't help.
Yeah, it did. So we decided, after I got done, I was going to go home. I was walking home. I was dropped off because my sister had my car.
Just fixing it.
Well, on my way home, I was stumbling. An officer noticed me, pulls over, and then he realized who I was, that I was on the fire department. Goes, "Here, just hop in. I'll give you a quick ride home. You can not have to worry about. I won't take you for being drunk in public. Arrest you. I'll just take you home." And told me anytime, even if somebody's working, just call the station. Say you need a ride home, we'll give you a ride home, man. You don't have to walk home. So that was another good experience. So.
Yeah, I'll have to fix that because I'm trying to fix it over here and it ain't doing nothing but flipping me around on the camera.
Instead of flipping the camera, can you flip the logos? Because they're separate, right?
Yeah, they're separate.
Yeah, so you can flip those.
Yeah, I'll work on that. I don't want to end up pressing something and messing up everything completely.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'll fix that for the next one for sure. Like you said, the first one's you always finding things that need to be little kinks that need to be fixed. So, all right. So I guess it's my turn for my good experience.
Yep.
All right. So I was on my way home from the beach one evening. On the way home, it was 1 or 2 in the morning. We coming just across the North Carolina line there was an alligator trying to cross the road. I watched him get hit by 2 or 3 different vehicles. Needless to say, pulled over, called the cops. You know, they showed up. Wildlife never did. Yada, yada, yada. Fast forward a couple months. I'm coming home from Walmart. Pull up to a traffic stop or a roadblock. And I have my girlfriend at the time with me who didn't like cops at all. Couldn't stand them. Got nervous around them. She seen them, instantly slid down in her seat, started panicking. Well, the cop walks up to the window. I already had my license, went to hand it to him. He shines his light. He's like, wait a minute. He goes, don't I know you? I was like, yes, sir. He goes, wait a minute. He said, you're that crazy fool that pulled the alligator off the side of 17, aren't you? I was like, yes, sir, I sure am. He goes, I thought so. He said, I don't need that. Looks up and goes, the gold car's good to go. You can let him through. I was like, all right. Pull up to a checkpoint. Doesn't ask me if I've been drinking. Don't ask me for my license. Doesn't ask me for registration.
Tater's like, damn, that was my first. That would have been my first DUI. Lost out on it. Dang it.
Actually, no. I actually hadn't drank anything. We were on our way to go drink at that point. But yeah, I all from pulling a reptile offside the road got me through a.
So was the
checkpoint.
gator dead? Since it got hit a couple times. I know it's hard to kill a gator.
No, actually, me and the sergeant that was on duty that night went back the next day, and the gator was gone. He had actually come to enough to swing around and try to get me when I pulled him off the side of the road like they asked me to. Hopefully the statute of limitations is run out on this. But he had come to enough to whip around on me before we left the scene of where he was at, because they had me pull him off the side of the road. But we went back the next day and he was gone. I guess he had finally got the gumption up enough to try to cross the road again and go over to the golf course, which was across the 4 lanes, which is the direction he was headed, or he went back up the opposite direction from where he came from and went back into the swamp that was back there. Either way, it didn't kill him. And the bad part about it is when he got, that week was actually bike week, and all I could think is if somebody on a motorcycle hits a 6.5, 7 foot alligator at 65 miles an hour, it's not going to bother the gator, it's going to kill who's ever on that motorcycle.
Yep.
It's either that or someone ate good that night.
I mean, that could have been the case too. Wasn't me, unfortunately.
That gator was on someone's smoker.
It wasn't me, unfortunately.
So, alright. I got another question for BB. Ever have any bad experience with dispatch when you ever had to call 911 if you had to?
No, can't say that I've ever had a bad experience with dispatch. I've mainly only ever had to call non-emergency. They're normally pretty pleasant.
How about you, Tater? Same question.
Nah, never had a bad experience with dispatchers. I've only can think of maybe one time that I've actually had to call 911. The rest of the time it's non-emergency line, so no, never had a bad experience with one of them.
So you're saying I'm only the one has?
You're the one.
I thought dispatchers were trained not to be not pleasant.
Well, they're supposed to try to take your calls in and try to be calm and all that. But I'll tell you the story of it, because this is when that half rope fell on my ankle. I sat there, got my phone out after it fell on my ankle and all that. I called it in because I was in so much pain. And the lady goes, "Are you sure?" Kept fighting me for at least a half an hour because I said I need an ambulance. I had a partial rough fall on my ankle, and she wouldn't believe me for the life of me. I said, "Well, if you don't believe me, just send a cop saying I'm pranking 911," and then I hung up. Officer got on scene, got on the radio. He was not pranking. We need EMS here immediately and the fire department to move this half rough all the way so they can get to him. Because it was still laying on my right ankle too at the time. But she ended up getting let go because of that, because they listened back to the 911 call. It's like you could tell that I was in pain when I was talking to her. And that she wouldn't do nothing. She didn't believe it. Like, really? Why would I be calling for an ambulance, needing an ambulance for nothing? So, yeah, that's the one and only time I actually had to call 911. Talking them over the radio, they seemed nicer and calmer, but at one time I had a call on the phone. It was like arguing with a child that you need something from them. So, but yeah, that was a fun day. Next topic. Hello.
Alrighty. Well, from here, we are going. We've been going for roughly an hour and 16 minutes. So from here, what we're going to do is, BB, I want you to let everybody know what you got going on, man, as far as what you got going on in your podcast life. Kind of put the red carpet out there for you. Let the folks know what you got going on, man.
Well, I mean, every other week we run Two Drunks in a Bottle, Delta BB Unfiltered. It gets aired probably once a month on Fridays. Squadcast same way, once a month on Fridays. Aftermath, you can watch it and watch one of my favorite people, actually two of my favorite people, Timmy and Decoy. You can watch them on Sundays or Mondays. Just added in Rocky Mountain Podcast. Check out Tyler, Dick. Then we got you guys. Super fun experience getting to do this, and all of you guys asking me to be on your shows and stuff. I enjoy being on here with you guys. We truly are a family dynamic when you become a part of the squad. Even though I'm an a-hole.
Well, I know I can speak for myself and probably also for Boogie. It's been a pleasure having you. We thank you for coming.
Yep.
And we look forward to having you again at some point later on down the road. Once we're a few episodes in, get you back on here and find out what you think.
I got a recommendation for your next guest if you don't have one. I got you a couple of recommendations. You got old Timmy with the Aftermath. He's prior military. And then you got old Decoy NDA. He's prior LEO.
Yep. And I personally, I hadn't mentioned it to Boogie yet, but I've personally thought of both of them, actually, bringing both of them on at some point. Boogie, I know you said you had some people in mind as well.
I have a couple people in mind, and one of them, BB just mentioned. I had him in mind too because of his military. And I got a couple of people I'm talking that I fought fires with, and that possibly able to come join us, talk about their experiences on the fire. One being volunteer and full-time fire departments. There one volunteer, and he actually went to Iraq to help get their fire department up and running again once the war over there was done, and help train. So
Cool deal.
hopefully. I would also like to thank Tater for picking me to be able to be his co-host here on Tater and a Beer, even though I'm not the beer.
Come here, buddy.
Hey, just because the name's Tater and a Beer doesn't mean you actually have to drink one.
We're about to make Tater
You know.
and beer.
Hey, look at there. We got a baby.
Look at them funny looking.
Oh, he just has to look at it to see the funny looking.
Well, again, BB, I appreciate you coming. I appreciate you being here.
So I was going to show something kind of cool. You guys, when y'all were on the fire department, did y'all ever get any challenge coin?
Challenge coin?
I did not. I got them in the military, but not in the fire department.
So, I wanted to kind of collect them. Apparently, they don't just give them out. But I actually ended up getting one, and it's actually one that was not given to the public, but I got one because I knew a K9 trainer for our sheriff's department. So I tried to start collecting these, but they're not easy to come by.
Not at all.
No, I never got one at all, so.
I didn't know if that was something that the fire department did. You said military did it?
Military, you get coins. The fire departments around here, a lot of the paid ones do give out challenge coins. Now, like you said, they're hard to come by and they're hard to get, but they do give them out. And I do believe the sheriff's departments do it as well.
So you still have challenge coins from the military?
I do. I have 3 or 4.
I never heard of that until now, so.
I got one. I got one for Iraq. I got one for when I graduated AIT. And I got another one when I graduated boot camp. And I think I've got one more in there somewhere, but I can't remember what it was for. But yeah, I got 3 or 4 of them from the military, and I think I may have lied to you because I think I've got one from a fire department that's about an hour away from here.
Heck yeah.
So.
Any special designs on any of them that you can think of?
So the one for Iraq, of course, says our Operation Iraqi Freedom on it. It's got the ribbon that we get. It's got that ribbon laid into it. I'll bring them all on here and show them when I can find them. They're in this house somewhere.
I got you. Another topic to talk about.
Yep. And then the other one that I got when I graduated AIT, of course, has the big picture of the Apache on it on one side, and then on the other side, I forget what it has on it. And then the one I got for boot camp is just it's got my unit on it that I was in boot camp, and I do believe it's got the dates on it for boot camp and all that. But yeah, I'll have to find those and bring them on here and show them off. If I'd have thought about it, I'd have done that tonight, but I didn't think about that. Thanks,
I didn't
BB.
think about it. I didn't think about it either until we got talking about it.
So I do before we do our outro and get out of here, I do want to throw a shout out to a special lady who's been sitting over here beside me all night. She won't get in front of the camera, but she has been sitting beside me all night, helping me out with different things as far as the computer and Word and stuff. My wife is actually sitting over here. She is a teacher assistant for one of the schools here in the county. I don't know how much I can actually say and not get her in trouble. But, babe, would you like to say anything? No?
So we got another producer back there.
We do.
Gotta love our spouses, man.
Yeah, she is sat right here and helped me out with all of it. and thank goodness, because she's pointing out stuff that y'all can't see. So,
Well, thank you, Tater, for having me on and thinking of me as being your first guest. You could have had a million other people. I appreciate you giving me the opportunity.
Before we all go, I got a quick question. You ever get something like this? Because it's a fire. We got these when we were. Can't even see it. I'm blind as a bit, I guess. All right. We got these every year of when we had good service. So I got 2 of them.
So the other years you had bad service?
No,
Y'all,
not really. It's something they stopped, but
your fire department's kind of like a Wendy's drive-through.
no, it's not like Wendy's drive-through. No, they didn't keep doing it. It's something they were doing every year until 2 years after I joined. It stopped for some reason.
Yeah, because some statues look expensive.
Yeah. So, fortunately, the other one I had, because this one's broken, it had a sledgehammer on top, but it broke in a move. The other one, it fell on me one night, and don't know how it fell. So, it totally broke. But yeah, I got those 2, so. But, yeah.
my wife is in the chat.
I figured that's who that was.
Yep, and she
thanks
said
for the adorable comment.
And she said apparently those coins are in the gun safe, which I can't get to right now because of all the brand new kitchen cabinets that are in the way. For those that know what I'm talking about, no. For those of you who don't, I'm sure you'll find out at some point.
Yep.
So
that's just a list on your honeydew list. Get them cabinets installed, boy.
You are right, and it's becoming a chore. And let me tell you something, it ain't a honeydew list because this woman beside me is right there with me doing it. So it's a us list. But I do want to again thank BB for being here. I want to thank Boogie for being my co-host and helping me out with this.
Yep.
I want to thank our watchers, our viewers. I want to thank all y'all for supporting us tonight, for being there. I'm sorry we didn't get to all the comments. We will try in the future to get y'all in here and let y'all ask some of the future guest questions. We'll throw in a little segment to where we let the viewers ask questions.
Yeah, I would like to thank BB for joining us too, and everybody that came to watch us. Appreciate it. Hopefully we get to see you again. It's a great time. So, and once again, I would like to give a big shout out to all the men and women of the service of anything military, fire, EMS, teachers, police officers, and all that for the great job they do to keep us safe.
And if anybody out there is watching in the fire service, EMS, military, whether you're in it now or you have been, and you want to come on and share your experiences, please let us know. We would love to have you. Love to have you.
Yep.
Alright guys, that's it. Again, I thank everybody, and thanks for watching Tater and a Beer. We will see y'all next time.
Till next time. Peace.